All right, guys. Alex Hollander here, and I have a very special guest in the house today. I got Dallas Rutherford. He's a loan officer with Cornerstone Mortgage. And how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. This is an awesome setup, and appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. This is our actually second podcast. And what we do is I try to bring in real estate professionals, people in the real estate business, and just pick their brain a little bit.
Cool.
Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and kind of see how we can work together and help the people listening as well. So with that said, I was looking on your Instagram page.
Okay.
And of course, you're a loan officer, but it also says you're a social media guru.
Right.
I know you're an avid Clippers fan, and so am I. And you're also the only loan officer that I know
Okay.
who's actually endorsed by LaV Ball, which is pretty crazy. How did that come up? Like, what's that situation?
Well, yeah. The LaV Ball thing kind of goes back to the social media guru.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing social media since I was 18 years old, so I'm 32 now. So I've been doing social media for over a decade. So before I got into loans, I did social media. Never really had a job. I had a few odd jobs when I needed them, but when I was 18, I kind of knew where social media was going, at least in my opinion, and capitalized on it pretty well. So while all my friends were working their regular jobs, I was working from home and doing pretty well for myself in my early 20s, and then transitioned into mortgages. I've been a loan officer for about 6 or 7 years now. And one of the first things that I wanted to do, obviously, was use my social media skills and kind of go into the lending side and capitalize based off all my social media experience. So the LaV Ball thing, I actually paid $100 for it through an app called Cameo.
Okay.
And it was super, super simple. I wrote them a message, but again, that kind of goes back to social media. You can get endorsements from people. Just thinking of creative ways just for people to kind of, hey, you remembered it. I hope I didn't, disappoint you with that. But
No.
again, it's one of those things where I'm always looking for creative ideas that makes lending a little bit more fun and unique. It's hard to kind of make lending and mortgages fun or
Sure.
cool. So that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah, I think you stand out to me because of what you are putting out on your social media as far as content when it comes to loans and lending. So you're kind of nailing it. It's interesting that you said you've been doing it for 10 years. So you kind of saw the trend years ago. Like you kind of saw the peak and you saw where it was going and you jumped on it.
Yeah, I also just enjoyed it too, you know what I mean? It wasn't like something that was like a task for me. I thought it was super cool. I mean, I remember when like Facebook came out in high school, and I was connecting with people at my school and things like that. But the internet, man, it doesn't matter what kind of industry you're in, real estate, mortgages, whether you sell T-shirts or you're a professional dog walker, it doesn't matter. You have to be on social media producing content just like this, and I think it's important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's a lot of people out there doing it well.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling through, I'm looking at things, and I'm looking at other realtors, for example, and I'm like, man, some of these guys could really be killing it if they actually tried. And they're not really trying. It's just kind of like generic content being posted that everyone else posts as well. Same thing in the loan industry. If a lot of loan officers follow me, but I don't have any reason to follow them back because they're not providing anything of value to me,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's one of the first things I noticed when I started, connecting with real estate agents and whatnot is they're just so behind on their social media skills. Everyone likes to just post, just sold, just listed, but that's not what social media is for. Like, you're not going to be able to grow a brand by just, throwing up pictures of a house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
How did you? Because I've known you kind of like from afar. Like I've known of you. I remember having dinner with you and a bunch of other guys one time. I think that was the first time I met you. You must have been in your early 20s. I was probably in my late 20s at that time, or mid 20s actually. How did you get into the mortgage business in general? Like, how did you become a loan officer?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story, but long story short, I was doing social media right when I started. and I had a few clients, and one of my biggest clients dropped. So I lost that income. And it was kind of by choice. We kind of like separated ways. That's a whole nother story. But at that time, I was also a little bored of just working from home. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people because most people would die to do that. But when you've been doing it for a few years and you're seeing your buddies in their respective careers, you kind of just, I wanted to kind of know what it was like to go get a job and build a career. And at the same time, I think there was a little bit of laziness on my behalf, getting too comfortable with just staying at home. And again, social media changes so much. I lose a big client, there goes 30% of my income. So I went online and I was just looking for jobs. And I came across a position as a call center LO. I didn't have my license, didn't have anything, but it was in Calabasas, and I was living in Woodland Hills at the time. So I applied. I went in there. I got the job. I started off as we call them what's the name? I would just transfer leads. So I'd be the guy that would take the call, kind of go through a few questions with the clients, and then I would transfer it over to a loan officer. But in that time, I met a guy. His name's Edwin Ishagi, and he's one of my best friends now, and that's who I work with now. Another young guy, but he was managing all the loan officers that were in this company called Lenderfi. And I thought it was awesome because he's younger than me, and he's managing 40 grown men at this call center and running the whole show. And we became buds right away. And so he single-handedly is the reason why I got into loans, why I'm still in loans, and why I want to keep doing loans. So he ended up leaving the call center. I ended up taking a break, and he went self-source. So he went from call center to self-source, which is a big, big difference, big switch. You're not on the phone. It's face-to-face, meeting people, networking. And then I ended up following suit, and I've been with him ever since.
Man, okay, so you said two really interesting things. I want to make sure I don't forget both. But the first one was he was a young guy.
Yep.
And the last podcast that I had the broker from Century 21 Plaza here. And we talked a little bit about how it is a young man's game. It's starting to become a young man's game because a lot of the older agents, a lot of the older loan officers, they're kind of aging out. We're not trying to take their place, but we have different styles, right, that we bring to the table, different skill sets, I guess. Have you noticed that change in your industry?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like 99% of my business that I get is all from social media. I know agents and things like that, but I'd rather direct with the consumer rather than relying on an agent to send me leads. And all that comes from social media. I'm the one that refers business to the agents.
Agents, did you hear that?
Yeah.
He's the one that refers the business to you guys.
Yeah, and typically, not that I don't get referrals from agents as well, because that's part of the business too, but back in the day, that's all it really was, the old school way of doing things. So social media, again, man, it's so important in any business that you're in. Yeah. And lending, real estate, in my opinion, there's a few people obviously doing it right, and I'm not saying that I do it completely right. I think we're all on our own little social media path, but the important thing is just practicing it, getting used to doing it, being consistent with it, and eventually you get better. When I go look at a video that I did 3 years ago, I'm like, what was that? You know what I mean? But I'd like to say that I've gotten better at it, and that's all you really can do is just get better little by little, and that's kind of my philosophy with it.
Yeah. The other thing that you mentioned was about your experience at what to me sounds like a call center, essentially, right? They were calling in or you were calling them, and then you were kind of, I guess, trickling through with questions to kind of see if they were a viable lead or not, and then you would send it on to the closer or the next person in line to kind of seal the deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why it's interesting to me is because I recently saw another Instagram video of yours where you took a phone call from a call center mortgage company. And you were kind of messing with them, asking them some questions. At first you were acting like you didn't know what was going on. Then you started hitting them with some harder questions, and the guy he couldn't, respond. I thought that was interesting because I don't cold call.
Okay.
I get a little flack about it. people will say, "Oh, you're lazy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm lazy, but I door knock, and you haven't set foot outside." You know,
Mhm.
there's things that I don't do that you do, and vice versa. But I don't cold call. The reason why is because I have heard people say that it's a numbers game.
Mhm.
That's an actual quote. Like, it's a numbers game. So in my head, when I compute cold calling, I compute numbers game to these clients that I'm supposed to be caring about, that I'm supposed to be helping. They're just a number.
Right.
So if I make 300 calls, I'm gonna get one lead. You're that one lead of that
Yeah.
300. So you're that percent for me. You're a number. My philosophy is people over profit, right? When it comes to this business. So when it comes to cold calling, I don't do that. I'm not saying it's bad or right or wrong, but I do like working with guys like you because I feel like you actually care about your clients.
Yeah.
Just based off the energy that I see on the internet, the conversations that I've had with you, and I feel like your transition from that call center to now you called it self-sourcing. I think that's an ideal fit for you because you're more of a people person than a phone call kind of person.
Yeah, I would agree. I would 100% agree that I think self-source is a better model for me personally. But there's other people where the call center model is better for them. So I think it's more about knowing your strengths and knowing what you're good at, and then making a decision based on that. But I will say the call center uh, is invaluable experience because I didn't know anything. So imagine, it's a if anyone watching this has been in a call center, you know what it's like. It's a bunch of dudes typically. You're in these cubicles, and most call center guys are loud, kind of obnoxious. You're having fun. It's kind of like Wolf of Wall Street. That's what I used to compare it to.
Sure.
And so that environment was fun, but they literally just throw you on the call. Like they say that they train you, but you can't train somebody to answer mortgage questions when they're not a mortgage professional yet. So getting the reps in to be able to talk with people and answer questions and see scenarios and know what's going on, you really get to see a lot. And then it also helps with your people skills. I think that naturally I have good people skills, but that doesn't mean that there's room, like I have room to get better and better in that. So just having conversation with people, I'm sure, real estate agents, they do a lot when they practice their scripts and they sit down with another agent and they literally just practice talking. And it sounds simple, but it really does work and help. So I got a lot of practice just talking with people and knowing, where they're from. It's a whole, I'm a big believer in sales and talking to certain people a certain way, depending on this, depending on that, you catch on to things.
Sure.
And so I'm grateful for that time that I had at the call center.
Yeah, no, I think it makes you well-rounded. You got both sides of the spectrum there. One of the things that, so my broker, we were talking and I was actually telling him that I heard that every transaction that you have, whether it's a loan transaction, whether it's selling a home, buying a home, you get 10 times better. And every time you do something in your industry, it's 10 times better. And I think that's similar. Like when you were in that call center, every phone call you had, and it was probably high volume phone calls, you got 10 times better every phone call you had. So if you're doing high volume phone calls like that, you're just getting immeasurable experience every single day, which is invaluable. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, it's crucial. Like it's just like, it's kind of like social media. Like you're not going to be good at social media when you first start. You're not going to be a great real estate agent when you first start. You're not going to be a good professional basketball player when you first start. Everyone starts somewhere, and then the consistency of just doing it over time, doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to get better as you keep doing it.
I like how you pointed at me and said professional basketball player.
No, not quite yet. Not quite yet.
One of the things that, one of the first real kind of experiences I had with Dallas, I put together like a basketball team at a church rec league, and I had a bunch of people from my church come and hang out with us. And I was looking at a ministry, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, my boy Dallas is gonna come," and I didn't know you. I didn't even know who you were. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, that's awesome." This guy shows up to the game. He's launching threes from half court. He's like, taking threes pre Steph Curry, I think. So I'm
those days are long gone, though, brother. Trust me. I need to get out there more. But yeah, I do remember that. It was a good time. Good times.
So speaking of basketball, it's not often that I get to interview a max prep Campbell High School 2008 like freaking MVP. I'm pretty sure your jersey's probably retired or something over there at Campbell Hall. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, you played high school varsity, right?
Yeah, I grew up around basketball. My dad was a big basketball junkie, and just had a basketball in my hand since I was a little kid and started playing, and definitely got put in some good places due to my father being a good parent and putting me in the, you hear about all these kids now that are growing up and playing basketball. The parents are really hard on them, and they think that they know everything. And I would like to say that my dad knew a lot about basketball, played with a lot of good players, and he put me in really good positions to play with the best players in LA. So probably when I was in sixth grade, I got the opportunity to start working out with a high school travel team that had Trevor Ariza on it,
Oh,
Jordan
wow.
Farmar, Nick Young. So here I am in sixth grade, used to playing with my buddies, and I show up to a gym, and I've never seen that type of athleticism. I've never seen that type of God-gifted ability. And so that's really kind of what got me better at basketball, was just playing with these freak athletes on, a day in and day out basis in sixth grade.
So you roll up to the rec league with a guy like me. No wonder you're launching threes from half court. That makes sense now, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of how it all started. But yeah, went to Hillcrest Christian first. We won the first CIF championship there. Then I transferred because I was good friends with Drew and Justin Holiday. That's how I know Paul and Clay and those guys. And transferred high schools, went to Campbell Hall, and yeah, that's kind of the basketball.
So see, you keep jumping for me because I have some stuff prepped for you.
Go for it. I'm
First,
all for it.
but
Basketball is easy.
Well, you mentioned Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I met you, Dallas, you were a Laker fan.
Yep.
And you used to give me crap.
Yep.
Not gonna lie, I was a Clipper fan.
Of course.
But every Laker fan gives me crap. That's just what they do when it comes to the Clippers, right? We're the little brothers. I love that role, though. I love being the underdog, for sure, being a fan of the underdogs. Now, though, I don't think there's a home game that you've missed of the Clipper season this year. And you got them good seats, man. You're sitting
yeah, they're okay. They're okay.
Are you going to the game tonight?
I'm actually not.
I
got some work that I need to get done, so I was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. But yeah, the Lakers, to be clear, I was a Kobe fan.
Got it.
I'm a Kobe fan. I've never really been, I would cheer for the Lakers, but before being a Laker fan, I was a Kobe fan. And then obviously some of the relationships that I've built, Paul being one of them, he's one of my best friends now. He's family, super nice guy. And so obviously, I support any one of my family members wherever they go. So it is funny, though, that now he's a Clipper and I spent a majority of my childhood, bagging on him. But, it's cool, and he's out here, and they've done some great things being there, and hopefully they can keep turning that tide and making this town a Clipper town.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So I looked up your stats. Your senior season, varsity season.
Okay.
Do you know your stats?
Ooh, hey, I like these questions. I'm going to say my senior year, I probably averaged, I don't want to, 17?
Close.
16?
You're a 3-pointer away, 14.
14.
14.4.
Okay, 14.4.
You really played 50 games in a senior season? Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. We played a lot of games, though.
Okay.
We were like a college team, man. I mean, we had 8 guys go Division I on that team.
Wow.
So we would travel we'd play like preseason games, basically, that were like exhibition games versus other teams across the country. So
wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, these are good numbers. You're well-rounded.
Thank you.
Yeah, you filled up that stat sheet a little bit.
I appreciate that. That's funny, man.
Yeah, I just had to look it up,
That's great.
All right, so I asked you about social media. I just want to throw it out there. He has almost 50,000 followers. I was going to use that in another question, but we intensively talked about social media already, so we'll kind of scoot past that a little bit. But some people listening, they might not know what a loan officer is or what a loan officer does. They know they have some kind of role in the transaction period of purchasing a home, probably. But for those that don't know, tell me a little bit about what exactly you do, how you help people like me, and by an extension, how you help buyers.
Yeah, so a loan officer is the guy that basically just handles the financing for you to be able to purchase a home. So I mean, I don't know the numbers, but most people, they have to finance to be able to purchase. Now, if you can buy a house all cash in this market, and we
You're a
all know how
beast.
this market's going, then more power to you.
Yeah.
But most people, they need to finance. And so my job is to look at your finances, look at your debt compared to your income, check your credit, and basically finance you so that you have the ability to become a homeowner.
Got it. So when you finance somebody, everybody's different. Everybody has different financial loopholes or hurdles that they have to kind of cross to eventually get a home or get approved to purchase a home. First time home buyers, right? There's VA people. There's all kinds of different like caveats. Do you handle the whole spectrum? Like, do you have something for everyone?
Yeah, and I say that with confidence. I mean, you can't help someone that's not working and doesn't make any money. But the company I work with is Cornerstone First Mortgage, and so we're a mix of a direct lender and a broker. So we have in-house stuff and we have out-of-house stuff. So we can do all the FHA, conventional government loans, but then we also can do bank statement loans, DSCR loans. We actually just got a no income loan, but you have to still show some type of income. But we can put clients into pretty much any box. Like we can help anybody. It doesn't matter if they're aggressive on their tax returns or not. As long as they have a job and they have low debts, we'll find something for them.
Got it. Okay. I saw recently you had something up online about FICO scores, Karma Credit, and the difference between getting your credit processed through a company like yours and
Yeah.
and then going through Karma Credit. Because on Karma Credit, I look great.
Yeah.
I'm like amazing. I'm
I
like,
gotcha.
yeah. But tell us
Yeah,
what's the difference there?
it's just a different type of mortgage pull. A lot of people get that confused. Again, just like that video I posted. Excuse me. Everyone thinks that they know what their credit score is, and using Credit Karma, yeah, it's good to use and have an idea, but when you're getting ready to purchase a home, it is important that you get your credit ran by a lender. Because it's a completely different type of mortgage pull. It's not like going and getting a car. It's not like getting a credit card. A mortgage pull is different, so that's important. A lot of people don't want to do it. They're hesitant. They think it's gonna ding their credit, which sometimes a mortgage pull can ding your credit, but it falls off. I forget. I want to say 45 to 60 days. And you can also get your credit ran by multiple lenders and not have it compounding it being negative. So the government knows that you're shopping for a mortgage, and the government encourages home buying. So they know that you're applying for a mortgage when you get that credit pulled.
Got it. So that tells me that you've probably dealt with all kinds of different people, trying to get loans.
Yep.
What's your biggest success story?
Oh man, like in regards to loans?
Yeah, it's just like somebody who comes along, maybe who they didn't think they were going to get approved. I don't know. I mean, you probably know better.
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, what I like to do when I talk with a client is I got to get all their finances. I got to look at the whole picture. I don't even really like talking about it with clients until I have everything, because it's like one big puzzle. And so if we're talking about rate, talking about credit, talking about income, it can be a little overwhelming. So what I do is I need an application filled out. Once you get the application filled out and have your income docs, then I can sit down and really dissect what your options are. And my job as a loan officer is just to give people their options. Mortgages are very black and white. It's numbers, and numbers don't lie. So that's how I kind of like to handle it. But a good one that I just had was with one of our bank statement programs, where the client had a down year in 2020, and he's getting ready to file his 2021 taxes so that he can qualify and have a 2-year history of taxes. And he needed to show an additional, like, I forgot how much it was, but long story short, he was going to pay an extra $50,000, $60,000 in order to be able to qualify conventionally. And what I presented to him was, hey, like, you're self-employed. Why would you pay $60,000, $50,000 and give that money to the IRS? You're never going to see it again. Uncle Sam's going to take it. You're never going to see it again. Also, that you can qualify. He was buying a high balance or a jumbo loan. Buy a home and have like a 3.5% interest rate. Don't file your taxes. Stay aggressive on your write-offs. and we can do a bank statement program and still get you into a 3.75%. And so a lot of people, especially self-employed borrowers, they don't understand that. They're thinking that they have to file their taxes. I have a friend that's doing it right now. His situation's a little bit different, but he's just paying money to Uncle Sam that he's never going to see again just to be able to qualify. There's other options that are available to you that you can qualify for a home, even if on your taxes you're not showing a whole lot of income. So to me, I think that's a good one that just happened. Is this guy's not going to pay Uncle Sam $50,000. He's going to pay about $100 more on his mortgage payments compared to if he were to file. So would you rather pay $100 more every month for your mortgage, or would you rather pay $50,000 to get a little bit better interest rate that you're never going to see again? And interest rates are tax deductible. Talk to your CPA.
So that right there is knowledge. Knowing that you have to kind of see the whole spectrum, see everything on the table, piece it together, and provide service. I think your value for the client comes in with your knowledge of the process, knowledge of what's applicable, what you can do with, what you have and what's presented to you. And I think it's invaluable. I think it's necessary to have a loan officer who knows what they're doing and who is backed by a team, right? Because you work with the team, and if you have an issue or you don't know what to do next, you can go back and check in with your team and figure out what's the best plan of attack for this particular client. That's what we do at my brokerage at Century 21. My broker is awesome. He helps me out when I have issues. I just give him a call. He fixes problems for me. And I don't know if you know this, but I've been in the game 120 days.
Yep.
So I'm like a fresh rookie, newbie, but without my team behind me, I'd be making a ton of mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, it goes both ways. Like, if you're a loan officer is nothing without their team. The processor, the underwriter, your LOA. There's so many. I would be a mess without my team just because it's a lot. And again, you learn as you go. And kudos to you. That's why, I think this whole podcast thing is awesome. I think that your content has been awesome. Can really tell that you're giving a good effort towards being a good real estate agent, which I'm sure you are. But you're learning. But the point is that you're giving an effort, and if you're going at it, how you've been in it, 4 months or whatever it may be. I can tell that you're putting in a lot of effort into doing things the right way, doing them professional. And so, yeah, kudos to you for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I do think that this type of environment, this type of networking is important, right? And being able to be professional, like you said, this is a competitive business.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. Your business, my business. I think any business where high levels of money is involved is super competitive. I do believe that there's enough money for everyone to eat. It doesn't need to be dog eat dog, but it is, and that's how it is. But I noticed with you particularly that even though it's competitive, you went out of your way to start a group on social media, on Facebook or online, for lenders and real estate agents and just people in the business to network and collaborate and share information. Why'd you do that? Why'd you feel the need to do that?
I back to kind of what you said, like it is very competitive, and I'm sure you've noticed it. Like, some real estate agents are like jerks to other real estate agents, and some loan officers, like, God forbid you call one of their agents and have a conversation. I've actually had a loan officer reach out to me and tell me not to call their agent ever again. The guy it was actually a lady. She didn't even know me. And I'm sitting there going, lady, you got it all backwards. Like, I don't know what she's doing now. I highly doubt she's doing well. But I believe that it's a people's business, you know what I mean? And you can learn from other real estate agents just like I can learn from other loan officers, you know what I mean? And there is enough, man. There's millions of people out here that own homes. There's people all over. There's enough room for everyone to eat, and I just thought it'd be cool to meet more agents, obviously, but also meet more loan officers, you know what I mean? And I think that our team does a lot for loan officers. And so I kind of want to be, not that we're recruiting people, that's not what that platform's for, but it's just good to network with people and know people's stories, and you can pick up things from other people that you might not be doing, or if you have a program that the other lender doesn't have, or vice versa, you have somebody that you can still even if you can't take care of a client, it's good to have an option for that client if you don't, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Just like I'm sure in real estate, like it's if there's out of state referrals, things like that. So I just think it's important to, be friendly. Like that's like
Yeah,
if you're not friendly with people, what are you doing? You know what I
right.
mean? So
So if you're an agent and you're watching or listening to this, stop being a jerk.
yeah.
It's not necessary. We don't have to
Yeah,
fight with each
everyone
other.
everyone thinks they're on Selling Sunset and they're like the holier than thou, and I can't stand that stuff. But hey, that goes back to social media too. So there's another issue. But yeah,
Yeah. In the same vein, like, what advice would you give a seller or a buyer, or just somebody looking to
yeah.
sell or buy real estate, I guess? What advice would you give them on picking the right agent?
All comes down to the person, what kind of relationship you have with them. Do you trust them? Are they professional? Do they have experience? You want to work with someone that knows what they're doing. And so, again, I always tell people, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel this way. Anyone can close a loan. Any loan officer can close a loan. Any real estate agent can represent a buyer or a seller. Like, let's just make that clear. Like, it's not like rocket science. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So it comes down to how you're able to connect with people. Do people trust you? Do people like you? And so that's why I think being in real estate or a self-source loan officer, having those people skills and being able to talk with people, it's all about relationships. It's a cheesy phrase, but that's just what it is. The more people you know, the better. And it all comes down to your relationship skills with people and making people trust you.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's huge. It's necessary. Um, if there's somebody watching right now who's interested in maybe utilizing you for refinancing, utilizing you for their loan process, like how can they contact you? Is social media the best way to get a hold of you? I know you said
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I don't know what if anything will be on the screen or at all, but yeah, most people just DM me. You can Facebook message me. My number, my email's all over there. And again, I love talking with people. And my job, even if they don't qualify right now, you got to give them kind of a roadmap on how they can qualify. No lead is a bad lead. I tell people that all the time. It can get discouraging when you're talking to people selfishly because you want to make some money or you're having a tough month, and it's like, man, like their credit came in at a 560. I can't do anything. But, one day that person's going to have a 640 or a 720. So it's important that you treat everyone the same. I've done that throughout my whole career. Is I don't care if it's I just did a $180,000 loan. And for most self-source loan officers, that's not a big loan, but I treat that loan and those people the same as if I was refinancing or doing a $1.2 million purchase. You got to be good to people, have good karma, and if you treat people well, they're going to treat you back. They're going to remember you, and so I think that's kind of how I approach it. But you can contact me on Instagram. That was the question.
yeah, okay. Um, Social media guru. I want to go
Okay.
back to that. What I know you have like a side business, right? You have so you got what you have going on, but you do your social media stuff on the side. What exactly do you offer people in terms of that?
Well, I don't do it as much. I talk about it still, but my wife is actually the one that kind of helps me with all that, which is awesome because I really am trying to transition more into mortgages rather than keep doing the same social media stuff. And now my wife can help me. So
Got it.
I'll still hop on the phone with the clients and explain the process and how it works and things like that. But I'm pretty hands off with it now. Most of my time now goes towards the mortgages and then also doing and helping social media for other agents and teaching other people how to do it, not charging them, but just being a resource. I think that being a resource for someone, showing them, helping them how they can grow their page, etc., goes a long ways. But the social media stuff, again, I just help people. I find creative ways to grow platforms that aren't your normal way of growing them. So I find kind of workarounds to the rules, the limits, what you can do, what you can't do, and I get right up to that line to where you're crossing the line, and we make sure we don't cross that line. But there's unique ways that you can grow Instagrams, Twitters, Facebook accounts, YouTube. There's so many social media platforms out, TikTok. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm more in the growth lane of social media.
Yeah, being in that business, I think you learn how to pivot a lot, because things change in social media, in the world of social media. Rules change, processes change, stuff gets bought out. So you got to learn how to adapt and kind of be fluid, which is a really good life experience thing too, because things happen in life where you got to learn how to adapt and be fluid. And I think it's cool that you can do that and you can kind of pivot. And I think it's in this business, in my business at least, being able to pivot like that is so key, because you could have a terrible couple months from what I see. And you have to figure out, all right, what do I got to do different? Maybe I lane switch into multifamily or lane switch into commercial, or you just figure things out. You know what I mean?
100%, you have to. The market changes, let alone the market changes. You know what I mean? So things that are working now weren't working or weren't as effective 2-3 years ago, and vice versa. So just paying attention to the market, seeing what's working, doing your research and homework. It's always important. We're all changing on a day-by-day basis, so it's important to kind of stay up to date on those things for sure.
Have you paid attention to what was going on with Zillow the last couple weeks?
A little bit, I saw that they were buying houses based off like an algorithm or something like that, and then they were trying to flip them, and it didn't work. I know a bunch of real estate agents are like, yeah, like told you so, or I don't know. I saw a lot of agents like kind of making fun of them, which
For sure, there
I
definitely
get.
are. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I know a little bit about it, not a whole lot.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, they were just super aggressive with their purchasing, and I don't think again, with the whole market shifting, price of material, price of work, just it added up so much that they were negative balance, right? I
Right.
think they're so much in debt that they just decided to sell off 7,000 properties. And I was with a client yesterday showing properties, and he was like, "Why didn't they just be like Robinhood and sell those homes back, put them back on the market below value, and at least make some money instead of selling them to Blackstone, which is like a huge
Mm-hmm.
multifamily housing company." So essentially, they took all these properties, sold them to this other company that is going to make a major profit on renting them, right? Which doesn't really help the housing crisis or whatever. And I was like, man, that's a good point. They could have totally like shifted the angle and the PR of like, yeah, we messed up. Yes, cop to like we made a bad business decision, but here are these homes undervalued. Go ahead and buy them,
Yep.
because we need them out here in Los Angeles at least.
Yeah. One quick thing on that, just because it goes back to being being personable with people. It kind of goes to show, all these crazy technologies that are coming out, which I'm so intrigued by the blockchain and things like that. And real estate agents and loan officers, like there could be a day where we might not be needed. That's just the truth. I don't know when or if that's going to happen, but that's a prime example of why it is a people business. You know what I mean? Like an algorithm can't help you. It can only help you so much. The human touch on things is so important, and I think it's so underlooked and undervalued right now. And people kind of forget the small details of just being a human and what that can do and how that affects our business. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm working with a client right now in escrow.
who did the loan?
So I was just telling Dallas yesterday that a lot of my clients are coming from a third party source, and they already have lenders. And he's like, "Man, I'm gonna give you a script that you can use to kind of you got to know." And I'm like, "You're right, man. I wish I was using somebody I knew in that situation." But
I'm messing with you.
yeah, I know.
I'm giving you a hard
But
time.
the reason why I bring him up is he's an older gentleman.
Okay.
Right. And I'm all about the technology. I mean, we're doing a podcast right now, but this guy can't sign a DocuSign.
Dude.
So where does he fit in this? And he's not the only one like that. You know what I mean? I physically have to drive to his house in Palmdale to pick up files because he can't print them, he can't scan them, he can't sign them. So it's a tough situation, and he refuses to learn. But that's where I come into play with that personal, people, intangible kind of thing where you're there and you're able to help people. And I do think that that's an invaluable service. You're right. There will be a day when all the millennials have grown up and they're 80 and they don't have to worry about it. But who knows? Technology may shift again.
Yeah, we might be those old people that don't know how to use the new technology. You know what I mean? It's crazy what's happening. But that loan that I was talking about, it was like a $180,000 loan. I actually do loans all over the country. So, so why agents use me, I think, is because I'm good at social media. I help them with their social media stuff. I help teach them kind of game plan and give them, something that they can work on that actually provides them value. But we also close loans really quickly. So we can close loans in anywhere from 14 to 21 days. Don't want to get into that too much, but an agent that I'm working with, her name's Jessica. She's an awesome girl. She's out in South Carolina or North Carolina. I always get the two confused. But she had this borrower that didn't have a laptop, and he told me that he bought his last house with a handshake.
Wow.
So in my mind, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And man, it was difficult. It was super, super difficult, but we got the job done. But that just reminded me of that because it's crazy. There's so many documents they're looking at. They have to electronically sign, and that's just how things are done. You know what I mean? It's how it works. So I'm on the same page with you there.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, Dallas, I'm glad you came out for a second guest on the podcast. I think you brought a lot of value to anybody listening. I think that there's a lot of agents who are listening from my brokerage that are probably like, who is this guy? They never heard of you because they haven't worked with you yet. So contact him if you need him. And then on the flip side of that, I think actually most of the listeners are just average like clients, people that are looking to buy homes that, we're pitching to. So I think that I just want to say thank you for coming out, for driving out here.
Thank you, dude. This was awesome. This was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more business in the future, and we'll take over the world together as young guys.
Absolutely. I love it, brother. And best of luck to you on your real estate journey, and anything I can do to ever help you, reach out. It's all about helping other people, and it'll come back. You know what I mean? So if you ever need anything, reach out, and I'd be more than happy to be a resource for you.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, have a good day, man.
Love it. Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's cool because it's